What's up, guys? My name's TB, and today I have some good news and some bad news. Bad news is it's the last episode for season 3 of My Hero Academia, so that means we're gonna have to wait a while for season 4. More of the anime of My Hero Academia. That is the sad part. Good part, the good news is they are working on it. So we probably won't have to wait that long until they come out with a season 4. Ideally, it'll be around the same time as this year, next year. Summer, springtime, around there. So that is a good thing. We don't have to, us anime watchers only. I have been reading the manga, but I've been buying the manga to read it. I haven't been going online to find out what's going to be happening in the future. But besides the point. So episode 63 is the last episode that we get for a good bit, and it starts right when it ended off last week. Where the big three showing up, they're about to introduce themselves. We have Amajiki, Hado, and Mirio. They're all trying to see, they're basically trying to explain what is the point of this new classes that they're going to be taking. This internship is different than the other internship that they took around the tournament arc. It's completely different. They're going to be going off different experiences where they're going to be treated more like sidekicks to the pro heroes, as opposed of just like a foreign exchange student just there to see what's going on. It's going to be completely different. Midoriya remembers for a little bit that they actually were showcased during the tournament arc, Mirio and the other two, Hado and Amajiki, but they weren't really that high in the rankings. No one's really paying attention to them. I guess at that point they weren't really adept at using their quirks yet. You know what I mean? They're third years. So during the tournament arc for them, they were probably like first or second years, just like everyone else that they're talking to right now. And when Amajiki introduces himself at first, and I was wondering what is he doing, because he's giving everyone this serious stare. Apparently he has a problem with public speaking. You know what I mean? He tries to picture as everyone as potatoes. Don't know why specifically potatoes, but he tries to picture everyone as potatoes, and he says that he can't do it. He can't speak to them because for the most part they still look human, even though only their heads are potatoes. So he can't really. What we don't get to know too much about him even throughout the episode. His quirk, nothing like that. Just his name and that he has a bad time doing public speaking. So Hado picks up after that. Hado has a pretty interesting, kind of quirky personality. She wants to know everything about these people. She goes up to almost not every single classmate, but a lot of the classmates in class 1A. He's just asking questions about how they use their quirk, how their body works, stuff like that. And it's she's very enthusiastic. Well, obviously Eraserhead doesn't like this because it's she's there. She kind of gets sidetracked. She's kind of airheaded. She's there for her own purposes, and she totally forgets that the whole entire reason why all three of them are there is to explain their experience. So Mirio takes over from there, and he tries to make a joke. He tries to connect with Class 1A, but it doesn't seem to work. He's trying to explain himself, and he's like, you know what I think would work for these guys, since they do have a bit of experience of their own already, having their provisional license. Most of them, not all of them. Obviously, we know Todoroki doesn't, and that gets brought up later. Bakugo as well, but he's not even there because he's still on house arrest. I guess he's still suspended. That they should fight. Mirio's like, you guys should experience our experience with your own experience. Let us clash, and maybe then you'll get what it means to go through this internship. And Eraserhead's like, yeah, man, do whatever you need to do to make this work. So they do it. They prepare for themselves. You see Class 1A, everyone's there. And throughout this fight, right, because the fight hadn't started yet, throughout this fight, we get sort of exposition on what it means to be a third year, what it means to have gone through this internship through Amajiki. The whole entire time, he's providing sort of his personal thoughts on what's going on. He's in the corner off to himself, obviously, because he doesn't want to interact with anyone else. But remember him, because he's in the corner. He's saying some pretty interesting things when Mirio starts using his quirk and he starts fighting everyone. Hado has her own personal thing to say there, which is pretty interesting. He says that she wants Mirio to go easy on them, because if he doesn't, then it might end up like this one situation where this guy who was obviously in UA and he wanted to be a hero, but after interacting with Mirio and his methods, he just gave up. He was like, I don't want to be a hero anymore. He was so pessimistic about his experience with with the big three that he just said, I'm giving up. And that's a big deal. That's not nothing to scoff at. That's really important. But Kirishima and the rest are like, we have dealt with pro heroes. We fought pro heroes before. We fought villains before. Don't treat us like we're small fry and that like we can't handle whatever you have to give at us. So he says, I'm ready. Come at me whenever you want, bro. So they do. Midoriya actually goes before Kirishima. He wants to go. He wants to test his abilities against him. See what the difference is. How strong is Mirio really against Midoriya, and his quirk. So they do. And the first thing that happens because of his quirk is all of his clothes fall off. All of his clothes fall off. And everyone, especially Jiro, just reacts to this in the way that you normally would. This guy he's ready to fight. He's all muscular. He's in his stance. And then he loses all his clothes. Like, what? I thought that this would impact Midoriya because he's basically rushing at him at full speed with full cowling. It doesn't. He goes in there. He's like, you're full of openings. I'm going to take advantage of this. And his foot goes straight through Mirio. I had a feeling that something like this would happen, even though I didn't know what his quirk was, because last week we saw Mirio show up to interact with Midoriya to see who he was, sort of get like a first reaction to him, first, impressions of his, his personality, who he is, because he's labeled as the troublesome, kid, just like Bakugo is. And he's like, during that interaction, he's like fused, or he's able to go between the garbage can or the garbage dump. So this is what he does right here. He fuses, or he warps to make Midoriya's kick miss. And after that, everyone just goes after him. You see the beams, you see the tape, you see everyone's quirk just coming after him. And he dodges every single one of them. And he starts taking out the long range, fighters before the close combat ones. He just teleports behind everyone. He just teleports behind them. He's like, I'm going to take you out first. Punches him in the stomach, punches him in the head, hits him with an elbow. He pretty much takes out every single person he interacts with in one punch, or like one decisive hit. It's crazy. Like, he looks pretty muscular. He looks pretty fit, right? But obviously that's him and his own personal training, because he has no super strength or anything like that. That's not what his quirk is. But this dude, Mirio, is a freaking beast, man. He's strong. He takes out all of them, and with one decisive blow, and he's like, power. He has his cool freaking pose that he goes, power. That's his thing, I guess. Whenever he does, really well, he does this move. And Eraserhead, is talking to Todoroki on the side, because Todoroki decided that he shouldn't really be involved since he doesn't have his permit, so he shouldn't be involved in anything that would require you to have your permit. He's not going to be in a internship for now because he doesn't have one. But Eraserhead is talking to him, and he's like, yeah, this is one of the guys who is looked at to be the top, even amongst the pros. Like, Mirio is one of the people that people are looking at. He could be the number one pro hero in the future, as time passes. That's the type of person that he's going to be. And it's like, that's crazy. No one would have thought that about him just by looking at him before. So they talk about that for a little bit. Amajiki adds a little bit more of his, I guess you could say, commentary as to what he thinks when people are reacting to him using his quirk. He's like, it makes sense that you guys are treating him like he's the best thing in the world, because to someone who's looking at a pro, and like let's say someone in the audience is looking at a pro boxer, basically. He makes that sort of analogy, and it makes sense. And Midoriya's like, well, we need to think about this rationally, as he always does. He's like the cornerstone of the class every single time they're in a fight, if they're fighting together. He's like, even though he warps and he fuses and he goes through these objects, there has to be a time where we can hit him, right? Because he hits us. He can't be, what's it called? I forget what the word is. It's not invisible. There's another word for it, basically. Like if you're a ghost, you can go through things. You know what I mean? There has to be basically a time where he can counter. So then they'll applaud him for that, because he always comes up with the plans and stuff like that. And Midoriya is the only one who's ready for it. He thought that he was gonna be able to catch him off guard, and he does for a second. He catches Mirio off guard for like a split second. He's like, oh, he was ready for me to appear behind him. And then Mirio does something, his ultimate move. I don't know if it's really an ultimate move, but basically he makes up a name for it, where he's about to like gouge Midoriya's eyes out. So he blinks, And in the moment that he blinks, Mirio takes advantage of that and he punches him in the stomach and he just says, I've been waiting for this. Obviously, I've been trained in this. People are going to figure out very quickly that they need to go for the counterattack. So, he's trained to go after people who would go after him like that. And as soon as he gets Midoriya, since Midoriya is the cornerstone to pretty much every single fight, when they're in a team fight, everyone else gets knocked out after that. And he does his, signature pose again. Power! He just goes power. Everyone gets taken down. And the fight is over just like that. The fight is over just like that. It's funny because even Mirio's like, I did my best to make sure that no one saw my willy, his crotch, his genitals or whatever. But he feels sorry for the girls if they did happen to see it. And then Hado goes in there. She wants to explain what his quirk is called because she wants to feel like she's a part of it. Because to be honest with you, Amajiki and Hado, they're not really part of this whole entire exercise that's going on. It's pretty much Mirio. Mirio is the center of attention for everything, and he explains that it's permeation. It's permeation, basically what allows him to go through things. And I wanted him to go into deeper detail of what his quirk actually allows him to do, and it makes a lot of sense. And he even asked them, hey, do you think I have a strong quirk? And everybody's like, yeah, of course. It's super strong. You can go through things and you can appear wherever you want to. He's like, no, my quirk isn't strong. I made it strong because it allows him to go through everything, literally everything. Like air cannot go into his lungs so he can't breathe. Light cannot go into his eyes so he can't see. And vibrations cannot go to his ears so he can't hear. Everything is passing through him as he's falling. So he had to work to make his quirk better, because at first glance, imagine he was able to use his quirk the moment that he was born. Most people don't develop their quirks that fast, but imagine your baby just falls through your hands and he has no control over what he's or when he uses his quirk and when he doesn't. This could be potentially really dangerous for him, but he had to work really hard to make his quirk better and better. And this is something that I feel like Midoriya really takes to heart. You see his face. He's like, this guy really had to work hard to make himself number one. Is that even though you have your quirk, you are the deciding factor to whether that quirk is useful or not useful. Whether you use it in combat or, not in combat. He needs to look at One for All differently. Just like he did when he came up with full cowling. Just like he did when he came up with shoot style. He needs to look at his quirk differently and the way he uses it so he can develop it and make it even better to the point where he can use every single part of his body just like Mirio can, And there's that example where he says, he needs to activate the quirk in every single part of his body except for his leg so he can move through. I'm sure that happened when they were attacking him. Midoriya for the most part went for his face, so he was able to make his face disappear, become transparent, but then hit him with the right hook in his stomach. So this exercise was really, really good for everyone involved. After everything happens, they all go back to their dorms. I was wondering where Bakugo's at. Obviously, he's still on suspension. You see his face, he's upset. But he's still trying to do his best. He's cleaning, he's asking everybody for his trash. And then Midoriya remembers that the teachers still haven't decided what to do yet with the first years that got the provisional license. Are they going to work with pros or are they not going to work with pros? But in the event that they do decide to actually go through it so they can go get their internships pretty freaking early because they're first year still, he hits up Gran Torino. And Gran Torino's like, oh boy, you actually remember who I am, big dude on campus. You think you're so big. He's like, no, I know exactly, that I need to work on myself more. So he asks him for help. Is he going to do another internship or not? He's like, no, I'm too busy right now. It looks like he's helping out the police. Looks like Gran Torino's helping out the police. But anyway, he does that, and he reminds Midoriya, hey, how about you check out All Might's past sidekick? And then we see him, but they don't really say what his name is. I looked it up, online. He's Night Owl. I don't know who he is or what he does or his quirk or his history. I was just looking up this name. Because I wanted to know who he was. His name is Night Owl. Not Night Owl. Night Eye. Sir Night Eye. And it makes sense because Mirio says something interesting when Hado's asking him about, did you see anyone interesting that you thought that you might want to, talk to or interact with in the future? And he's like, Midoriya. And that Sir Night Eye would like him. So, we got that hint of who he is. We see someone else new here. once we cut to All Might's former sidekick Night Eye, is this girl called Bubble Girl. I don't really know anything about her. We just know that they are trying to keep tabs on the villains and their actions and what they're doing. Apparently, Overhaul has been scouted by Twice, and they're going to see Shigaraki. I have no idea how this meeting is going to turn out, because to be honest with you, every interaction that Shigaraki has had with someone else that was a villain hasn't really gone that well. But if Shigaraki is trying to be the leader of the League of Villains now that his master is tied up for the time being, we don't know how long he's going to be in that safety prison, or that cell, wherever the heck they're holding him. We don't know where he is. Shigaraki's gonna have to, he's gonna have to man up. He's gonna have to be better at interacting with people. But it seems like he's doing a good job, because they're trying to scout Overhaul. Overhaul seems like a freaking badass, man. He's really strong. That's what it seems like. And that's pretty much the end of the episode there. We get a little close-ups, more of Overhaul's face. And to be honest with you, looking at Overhaul, I don't know if you guys ever watched Seven Deadly Sins, but it reminds me of King. He reminds me of King. Not really in like his character, just simply on the way that he looks. He reminds me of King. And that's it, man. That's it. Again, last episode of season 3. We're gonna have to wait a while. I'm gonna try to find other things, to talk about in the meantime. But for the most part, those are it for the reviews for now. The movie just came out, so I'm gonna try to see if I can see the movie and talk about it with you guys. Hopefully you would be interested in that when I do my review, review for the movie. More likely what I just think. That's what all these, videos are, just what I think. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode, man. Is it a good way to end the season? Even Midoriya's like, evil is getting stronger, good is getting stronger, and soon they're gonna meet. They're gonna clash. So hopefully at the beginning of season 4, we obviously see them develop their quirks a little bit more. Maybe even start their internships already. See things really go down. Maybe we can interact more with Overhaul and more with the League of Villains. I don't know. But let me know what you guys thought also of this review. And anything I can improve on, anything that you're looking forward to in the future, let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.